Hi, Alex. Thanks a lot. Good to see you again. I'm not going to ask you about Somalia. I'm going to ask you about Ethiopia and how you see Prime Minister Abe's ability going forward to manage both an ambitious domestic agenda and a regional agenda, which seems at times overwhelming.
Yeah. Let me start on Ethiopia. Steve, it's a very difficult one. Here's this country that is 100 million people, and it's like a dam that if the center does not hold, then things fall apart, okay? To quote a succession of great writers. Prime Minister Abiy knows that, okay? I think he also came into power understanding that the nature of the federalism that had been built up in Somalia was one that runs the risk of entrenching an inevitable ethnic fragmentation. Nevertheless, in a country which has its own deep history and its own inequalities. So he's having to balance, how do you create a new sense of what is a nation and an identity of what it is to be an Ethiopian? And it's devilishly difficult to do, and we're seeing it play out. And I wouldn't want to rush to any conclusions too soon, except to say that we all ought to be encouraging him to. It's all about how you develop momentum towards an idea politically, because if you stand still, then things tend to go wrong. On the other hand, too much momentum too soon provokes a sort of, things start to move and ricochet in ways that could become dangerous. And I think we're at that point. It behooves us, I think. Let me put it this way. Certainly I speak as the European Union, but I'd say the same in the United States. If we all were to agree that this is a country at a very, very delicate moment, and not just for its own sake, but for the security of the wider region, Prime Minister Abiy is entitled to our opinion. And we should be rather clear about what our interests are. And I wonder sometimes whether we are active and clear enough as to what those are. But then so are other parties in Ethiopia. And I sometimes worry that we're dealing with Ethiopia, given our interests, I'm talking purely about interests here, with a degree of kid gloves, which actually does a disservice to Ethiopia, but also to our own interests. I think it's just time to be fairly open, pretty direct. When I say open in private discussions, this is not for public lecturing. But this is a country that is so important. If the dam breaks, all the discussions about the Horn of Africa are moot. It's as simple as that. This is not Yugoslavia, which imploded. Ethiopia straddles every other country around it. It will be infected by that. That's the core strategic question. And there again, I think, we owe it to ourselves and also to the Ethiopians, and actually that region, the stability of the region, I think, to be perhaps a little more active, more vocal in just conveying how we see things.